fun, like socialising with my friends, reading, playing pool, listening to music, you know, the same kind of teenage things everyone does.
Go out with my friends, like bowling, cinemas, just go clubbing.
We go to raves and just other friends' parties. Going to the pub and just socialising, having a laugh, listening to music. Feel happy, alive, like proud to be someone. It's just good, a good feeling inside you.
But sometimes if you've had quite a rough day or whatever and you're just really tired, you're just like, I don't feel like pretending I'm really happy. I really don't feel like doing that, and I don't feel like getting all hyped up or whatever. I just want a quiet evening, really.
I hate ignorant people that like comment on things they don't know about. They just pass judgment, like they're so superior to everybody else and they don't know things. I hate the way the world's turning out today, like there's all this racism, prejudice and everything.
I worry that I'm going to end up without a job, without a decent house, things like that.
Family problems cause me stress, and school, like the exams and that, it's pressure.
Problems with their parents and problems at school or college, or someone has trouble with the police. Drugs is a big issue.
It's like everyone's expecting I've got to do things in like a certain amount of time, and just feel like I can't do it, and everyone's pushing me to do it when I know I can't, or I think I can't.
Being young is not always a good experience for people. I think some people get all sorts of problems. They may be victims of bullying. They may come from a family where perhaps things aren't ideal.
I can remember that me and all my friends, we were finding our own way and we were kind of breaking away from what our parents wanted us to be. And we found that really hard to live in a house with somebody that didn't actually accept us for who we were. I always wanted to move away from home and go somewhere different and do something different and be something different, but it makes things really stressful. If your friends don't want to do that and they just want to hang about in gangs or whatever, they want to just hang out in parties, you want to go out every weekend, and it makes things difficult for you because you're isolated from your friends now.
I think if someone has an emotional problem, they can't deal with it. And just lead to have a nervous breakdown. Just bottle up all their feelings, no one to talk to or anything. And eventually just get so stressed out it's a breakdown.
I think mental health problems can affect absolutely anyone. There's no there's no single group of people who are most at risk from mental health difficulties. Having said that, fairly naturally, if life is already quite tough for somebody, then almost inevitably that can add to the stresses they're facing in their lives and can actually add to the possibility of things going wrong.
The causes of the mental health problems, which are the extremes of normal experience, I think are really a result of the interaction of two things, and that's usually some acute problem or sometimes a longer standing problem in someone's life, interacting with their vulnerability and ability to cope with that problem. Clearly things that are bad and upsetting, short, sharp shocks, the death of someone close to one, losing one's job unexpectedly, these are all things that are likely to upset people.
Issues like poverty, issues like housing, issues like unemployment are very important for us to be aware of. And when we're talking about young people are probably one of the less powerful groups in society. They can very rarely command the same kind of wages as adults. They very rarely have the same kind of security in their housing, in their employment. And so I think that does place young people particularly at risk.
It's really frightening because it can happen to anyone. It just takes something to trigger it off.
But I think there's a deeper fear about yourself and about what makes someone normal, and so when you're feeling stressed or everything feels a bit like it's a bit of a crisis point, you feel like maybe I'm going mad, and that is a really huge fear, I think, for a lot of people, just because that's the worst thing I can imagine happening.
It's really important that when people, if you like, are starting to feel worried about things, or feel that they're not coping, or feel that they're cracking up, that they do seek help at that stage. And hopefully, by getting help at an early stage, the problems, if you like, can be nipped in the bud.
The majority of people whom I'm asked to see come with mental illnesses which are really extremes of normal experience. So that may be extreme anxiety or depression, which is interfering with their life, and they need some help to sort that out. The development of large mental hospitals was seen as the most civilised way of helping people who could no longer be looked after at home, but for whom it was clearly wrong that they'd be incarcerated in jails. The problem was that there were really no effective treatments. So the big change this century, I think, has been the development of two broad domains of treatment, and one fits under the heading psychological, which would be include counselling or working with someone to sort out problems, and the other broad domain would lie in the medication arena.
In certain situations, drug treatment is useful maybe for a short period of time, but there definitely needs to be talking, counselling alongside.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And drugs can help, but they can only just help you through a crisis more than anything else, not necessarily the long-term answer.
I think it's fairly well accepted nowadays that looking at just the symptoms of someone's mental illness or mental health problems is not really addressing the problem properly, and treatments or cures, if you like, that only look at symptoms rather than causes of the problems don't really do a proper job.
When somebody first contacts the service, I guess the important starting point is that they come because they choose to come. So young people can just call us or turn up at the door. They don't have to make an appointment beforehand. They don't have to be referred by somebody. They can just decide they want to come down. When they come down, what we'll do is we'll arrange for them to be able to talk to one of the counsellors, just on a one-to-one basis, just in one of the rooms in our building here. And that will be a chance to sit down, find out more about the way that we work, and to begin talking through whatever it is that's giving them concern at the moment. The counsellor's role is to be there to listen, to help them think about their options. I think particularly young people are very used to adults telling them what's right for them in their lives, or at least suggesting what they think they should be doing. So a lot of them do find it quite strange to come to a service where we're not going to do that, and where we tell them right at the beginning that we're not going to do that.
It's very un-English to express your feelings. And if you talk about how you feel, you're either seen as moaning or a bit weird or something, and it's also makes you too vulnerable to another person. It's embarrassing. You're not meant to talk about your feelings very much.
I think we're still very much we have a reputation in the UK for being sort of stiff upper lip and not really talking about how we feel. And I think that still is very much there. I hope things are slightly improving, that we are managing to encourage people to talk more about their feelings and seeing that as being perfectly okay.
I used to not cope at all with the stress I came into contact with, but now I go home, I'm quiet, maybe I tell somebody a little bit about it, then a couple of days later I tell somebody a little bit more if something really stressful happens. But generally I go out for a run, try and get all the stress, all the anxiety out of my body, just try and let it all out.
I think that there's far more emphasis on keeping oneself physically healthy and taking a day off work if one has a high temperature or whatever, than if one is feeling under mental duress, where there is certainly, I think, a general expectation that one should soldier through, and that admission of weakness is a failing.
People still sort of don't believe that physical illness and mental illness can be the same, which is something going wrong in the brain or any other part of the body. And I think there's still a feeling that in some way you're lacking somehow, that it's your fault if you have mental illness, that you somehow you can't cope, and if you just pulled yourself together, you'd be all right. I think there's a lot of that attitude.
Mental health problems are very common. Between 1 in 4 and 1 in 10 of the adult population will be experiencing such problems at any one time. What this means is that we're all likely to have someone in our family or have a friend or someone that we know at work who's experiencing mental health difficulties.
There's a lot of people out there who've got some form of illness or depression, but you know, they're just too ashamed to sort of get help, or they don't know where to get help. They don't know who to turn to. You know. So I think it's quite common. You know. But it's one of those things where it's got such a stigma to it these days. You know, you don't want to admit to it. Yeah, but I said, you know, which is sad when you think about it. I mean, it's got to the state where you can't actually sort of stand up and admit you need help because, you know, you're ill. I mean, so we need to change it. I mean, we need to sort of be able to stand up and say, well, look, you know, well, I don't mean like sort of be proud of it, but stand and say, well, yeah, look, I've got a mental illness. I need help.
I think the only time you really hear about mental illness is when someone's been killed by someone who has mental illness problems. Either that, or in films you get like sort of psycho kind of image. And that it's like the person is hardly human anymore. They've just been taken over by this illness, by this thing. And it's like, and it's also a lot of things about evil. And there's something else there, that it's not just that they're a person with an illness, but they're not even a person anymore. They're just the illness. They're just this psycho.
Again, because of the media, I get this image. You know, they seem to think we're all mad. I seem to get it. We're all either Jack the Ripper, you know, some sort of axe murderer, psychopaths. I mean. Someone like, you know, someone who's not totally in control of themselves, you know, who's just totally insane, I mean, you know, which is not true, you know, and they seem to think we're all sort of, you know, homicidal killers. They only do 1%. The other 99% of people like, who've got a mental illness, you know, aren't dangerous, you know what I mean?
Somehow it seems to be so much easier for people to reject what they don't understand or can't make any sense of. And I think that's one of the things that I found most devastating.
I think people who have a mental health problem, whether it's something that they live with at home or whether they're in hospital with, I think the most important thing that anyone can give those people is love, and lots of it. Love and understanding, that's the most important medication anyone can prescribe.
I don't think it should be like that on the TV. Like, it's got all the time, like, mentally ill people killing other people and fighting and stuff. But, like, my uncle's mentally ill and I can have a really good conversation with him. And sometimes it just gets a bit funny. He says the wrong things and stuff. But he's all right.